Hello and welcome to Kings Island here in Mason, Ohio. This is not my first time. I've actually been here before, and if you want to check out that visit from last year, I'll link that down below because today is going to be an even quicker visit. But one of the main reasons I'm here is the dark ride Booooo Blasters on Booooo Hill is actually going to be closing this week. So I've never actually checked that out, so I figured now is as good of a time as any to come check out that dark ride and just to see one of the better parks we have here in the Midwest. So let's check out Kings Island. So this is new. This used to be the backlot stunt coaster. This year, for its 20th anniversary, it was rethemed to Cincinnati, so it is now the Queen City stunt coaster. When this opened, it was actually themed to the Italian Job. It was the Italian Job stunt track. As with many of the rides, once Cedar Fair took over, a lot of those Paramount and Taft IPs had to kind of be stripped from the rides because Cedar Fair didn't have the rights to the Italian Job. So that theme was kind of genericized into the backlot stunt coaster. I guess they just decided to celebrate its anniversary. They'd prefer to theme it to something more local, to Cincinnati. I really like that in concept. This retheme just feels very surface level, which is fine, I guess, but it's just the street signs and the billboards. They're just about Cincinnati rather than an action movie set. There's still that break in the ride that has all of those old special effects. Those effects weren't working today. I hear they rarely do. When I rode this ride a couple years ago, it actually did have all the effects working, so I feel lucky in that regard. But all that being said about the retheme, this is still a really fun family coaster. Premier kind of knocked it out of the park as far as being very early to the draw with these family launch coasters. You have rides like Hagrid's, and companies like Vekoma are also making family thrill B&M is, Intamin is. Premier was pretty early, and this thing still holds up. It's got some good forces on this helix in the parking garage. The rest of the layout, it's fun. My favorite part is definitely when you get into the dark tunnels. Can't really tell what's going on. I'm a big fan of that. Okay, Orion. Orion is the park's giga coaster. Back in the day when this thing was built, there were many debates on whether this is actually a giga coaster because it's not quite 300 feet tall, but it has a 300-foot drop because it goes into a ravine. I'm on the side that says whichever is taller, the height or the drop, that counts. Magnum XL 200 at Cedar Point, it's 200 feet tall, but it actually doesn't even have a 200-foot drop. This is like the opposite of that. I think either work. I think this is a really good ride. Last time, I think I complained that it's like a really good giga, but it's too short. True, but you could still appreciate the moments that are on this ride. And something I forgot about, I think just because Diamondback is such an airtime machine in this park, the airtime hills on this ride are actually really good. The low to the ground speed hill that kind of like hops out of the ravine after the turnaround is one of the better airtime moments I've experienced, just because I love that fast-paced, low-to-the-ground sort of speed hills when they produce that much airtime. I do think like one or two more hills would have only helped, but it's a great ride and it chews through people. So it might be a little bit shorter, but you could probably just get a second ride on it if you really wanted to. So there's a bonus. Okay, while I'm here, Flight of Fear. This ride is good, and I have a strange affinity for indoor dark roller coasters. It just like, you could put kind of a really mediocre roller coaster inside and in the dark, and I would be like all over it. You have to remember that these Flight of Fear coasters here at Kings Island and Kings Dominion, they weren't just like prototypes as far as like indoor coasters. These were the first magnetic launching roller coasters. So this isn't brand spanking new. Where it shows its age is how it rides, because man, this thing's getting a little bit of a bite to it. This thing can kind of throw you around, jolt you around. But still, like I said, I do really enjoy this thing. I think the alien indoor outer space setting is so cool. The way that the queue goes into the UFO, and it's awesome. I do really love the setting. I love the ambience, I love the atmosphere. No coaster here comes close to what Flight of Fear has in that regard. It's always got a long line, and some of that comes from it being a really popular ride, but I do think operations could be a little tighter here, because everywhere else at the park across the board, I am just very impressed by Kings Island's operations on their roller coasters. And this is the one where it's always like, eh. Mystic Timbers. This is still one of the better, newer GCI wooden coasters that we have here, especially in America. I'll be the first to say I love airtime on roller coasters. This almost just does it too much, or at least too repetitively. Like, I love this ride. Top 5 wooden coasters, easy. I just think I prefer rides like the Voyage or even Thunderhead, another GCI, because they're more balanced. This thing goes down the drop and then it's just like 17 ridiculously fast-paced, like, hops all over the place. And that's great, that's super fun. I just think I actually like a little more variety. Is that wrong to say? But listen, Mystic Timbers is a phenomenal woody. The first time I rode this, I didn't even really know that wooden coasters could do this. I said this last year, but it's just like if you made Maverick a wooden coaster, it would wind up something like this. How fast-paced and low to the ground, and it's throwing you around, it's smooth, but it's chaotic. You don't even know what's going on. Really good time. Kings Island has a solid woody lineup. This is Booooo Blasters on Booooo Hill, and this is probably the longest line you've seen for it, at least in quite a while. After this week, this ride will be permanently closing. This is the end of it for Booooo Blasters. Now, this ride actually has a pretty long history here at Kings Island. This building has been used now for 3 kind of iterations of this dark ride. The first of which was the Phantom Theater. That was a traditional dark ride that focused on ghosts and ghouls. I honestly don't know the story well, but it was a traditional dark ride that resided in this building from 1992 until 2002. In 2003, the ride changed to Scooby-Doo and the Haunted Castle, which turned that traditional dark ride into a shooting dark ride system focused on Scooby-Doo. So plenty of those characters, and it adds that element of having targets and moving characters that react to those shots. Fast forward to 2010, and Cedar Fair acquires those Paramount parks. All those rides that were very IP-based, like Scooby-Doo, the IP had to be removed or diluted from those rides. So this became Boo Blasters, which is basically just like it's like the Scooby-Doo ride if you just removed Scooby-Doo. Depending what version of the ride you grew up with or you experienced, this thing closing might be a big deal to you, it might not. That was actually my first time riding it, ever. I've been to Kings Island a couple times before, and I always just passed it on by, but since Kings Island has announced they will be closing this became a little more critical to ride it. But it was fun. I do appreciate when parks have a dark ride. I don't think enough regional parks like Legacy Cedar Fair, Six Flags parks, I don't think enough of those sort of parks have dark rides. Why are we just leaving it to like Universal and Disney? I think every park should have a way to beat the heat, but also just, you can immerse the rider in storytelling in a way that you can't just with a traditional outdoor ride when you're inside, and you can build scenes and movement and energy. That being said, the tech felt pretty buggy. The actual like hit registration, I guess you could say, wildly inconsistent. The whole just blacklit caricature sort of aesthetic, it's charming, it's quaint, it's fun. I think this is getting a little outdated, but I do love that charm, and whatever replaces Boo Blaster, I hope it's something that can continue to add this variety to the lineup, whether it is a dark ride, a shooting dark ride. I don't know what else they could use this space for, but I'm excited to see it. So. Gosh, Banshee is like the fine wine of Kings Island to me. I don't know what's going on, but every single visit I ride this thing and I like it a lot more. The vest restraints on the train, I don't hate them. They're pretty comfortable, and it puts a little pressure on your collarbone, but it's tolerable. I really like the drop on this ride. A lot of times on those older B&Ms, you got the pre-drop, and that was nice to kind of start speeding the whole train up before it really engages with that full drop. But on Banshee, I do like that it just gets straight into it. And I also just forgot like how many inversions and elements there are on this thing. Like by the time a lot of inverts do a dive loop, a vertical loop, and a 0G roll, you'd expect there to be like a mid-course brake run and then maybe a corkscrew left. But you're not even halfway done with the inversions at that point. It's crazy. Very intense ride. The positive Gs are constant. It still runs very smooth. And I do like that this thing has much larger elements than those like 90s inverts that are just non-stop all over the place. Okay, the Beast. That was my second time ever on the Beast. Last time I visited last year, the Beast wasn't open at all. My ride ended with about 20 minutes sitting on the final brake run, so that was a first. But what a legendary roller coaster. This is still the world's longest wooden coaster. When it was built, it held more records than that. But it is still a ridiculous ride. 2 lift hills, but what really surprised me was, I don't know when in the last few years this ride got retracked, but that first like third of the ride after the drop before you hit the trim brakes, those hills are profiled quite well now, and I don't think they were always like that. Decently steep inclines and declines, enough to give you a good bit of airtime on a few of those hills. And then it trims, and until that second lift hill, the rest of that portion of the ride meanders, and it's not the most dynamic or intense. It's still just so fun going that deep into the woods on a wooden coaster. But man, the second part of the ride, after that second lift hill, into that insane double helix, that's crazier than I remember. You pick up so much speed as you're about to just whip into this turn in a tunnel. It is jarringly intense. There were like 1 or 2 moments, like right when that first helix was starting, that the car really kind of jolted, but that was the only moment on the whole ride that I was like, whoa, that's a little shaky. You can tell the areas that have been retracked recently and the ones that haven't, but overall the ride still just runs really, really well, especially for its age, for this large of a Woody. It is a legend here in Ohio and in the coaster world. You just can't miss this. It was closed last time I was here, but that's the only excuse you can get. That's the only one you get. And just like that, that is gonna do it for my day here at Kings Island. It is always a fun time to get back to this park. It is just one of the better legacy Cedar Fair parks. And a lot of this charm comes from those Paramount, and even before that, the Taft Broadcasting era. You could see a lot of these elements and this focus on immersion and theming even here at Kings Island, as well as Kings Dominion and Canada's Wonderland, the original Taft Broadcasting amusement parks before they were bought by Paramount, Cedar Fair, now it's all Six Flags. This is a park where you could kind of see a lot of those eras collide. And it was really cool being able to check out Boo Blasters before it closed, a ride that has histories in all of those different eras. But super happy I could check out Kings Island again, ride some of my favorite roller coasters, honestly, and even check out a couple new things. So, like I said at the beginning of the video, if you want to see even more from Kings Island, I have linked that last video I did here in the description. I rode a few rides, experienced a few things that I wasn't able to do today in that video, so make sure to check that out. But thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, consider liking it. If you want to see more roller coaster and amusement park content just like this coming real soon, consider subscribing. My name's John. You've been watching Midcourse Discourse, and I'll see you next time.